was trying to get the good angle for you.
I appreciate that more than you'll ever know. It's like the stupidest shit because it takes all my willpower to get up and actually edit the video.
Make it easy, please.
And then when I get there and I'm like, motherfucker, and I have to go frame by frame, I'm like, there it is. Okay.
Do a little quick one.
She's so fast. Or if we don't, then I just have to line it up to some shit we say eventually. Yeah. And I'm like, somebody has to make big mouth movements for me to find the word. And then to find that within like, I don't know, a 5-minute gap of whenever the fuck we hit record or whatever. I'm always like, this is my 13th reason. Cancel the podcast.
This is going to be it.
I wasn't made to edit videos.
No, it's hard, man.
Yeah. But, you know, we do what we got to do for our Patreon.
That is true.
God damn!
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, I'm wonderful. How are you?
Oh, I've never been better.
That's right.
That's a lie.
There have been moments that I have felt better than this.
There have been moments where I've been better. Here's the thing. I'll give you my goddamn. I'll hit you right out the bat with it.
Let me hear it.
My children are gone.
Yes, they are. No one feels bad. Stop trying to make it sad.
I feel a little sad. I also
They've been gone for 1 week.
So free. Yes. Exactly. They've been gone for exactly 1 week.
Yeah, it's been
1 week. And then they won't come back for another week. Ugh.
Girl, you live in the dream. What are you talking about?
I am. Everything is great.
My lobster's too buttery. My steak is too juicy.
I know. I still have them and they're safe and they're fine and they're taken care of and we have FaceTime these days so like I can talk to them and everything.
But you miss them?
Oh man, I miss them. But
Isn't
also,
it sick?
I haven't had to make like anybody cereal or get any water or fucking
tend to anybody.
Yeah, tend to anyone.
I'm so jealous.
Fix a phone because it's coming up with an error message. Now I'm like, go find Grandpa.
Figure it out, bud. You can do it.
Yeah, man, it's weird though. Brandon and I start yelling at each other around the house, like, "Get me a water!
Wipe my butt!
Hey kid, let the dog out." When you go to feed him, I'm like, "Kid, feed the dog," and the dog's looking at me like, "Are you getting up?
Who is gonna do it?"
Yeah.
Oh shit. Well, you want to hear my goddamn?
Sure do.
It's just that we had like a fucking proper redneck 4th of July, which I haven't experienced since quite literally the age of 13 when like we went out to Kentucky backwoods. They're legal there. Shooting real fireworks off in my uncle's yard.
It was like Uncle packed them.
Oh, God. No, it really was. And I remember at the age of 13 being like, I'm tired of the fireworks. The parents are drunk and I'm over it because this is just loud and it hurts. Like I've seen hours of fireworks.
I've seen enough. Can you stop like, so I can go inside
what a sour pussy.
Like
I was 13 though, so I probably had a lot of, fucking hormones going through me.
Probably.
No, but we had a proper one of those because my neighbors got us some fucking fireworks from TJ and shit, and they were shooting them all off. And it was the closest I've been to a firework since I was 13.
Yeah.
And my kids got to experience it, and it was a fucking blast. And the cops didn't even show up.
Girl, how exciting is that?
I know, it was a blast, but it was
a good old-fashioned hoedown.
It was. I literally had the best time. It was the first year that we left the dogs in the house alone because usually we host 4th of July. So, like, I never worry about the dogs because we're home. And this is the first year that we didn't. Like, we were down the street. And so, Chell, I wasn't worried about because she's an old lady and she's not running anywhere.
Like, if she could hear him.
Yeah, she's just sleeping through that shit.
Yeah.
But Chip, I was a little worried for because she's my anxious little girly. Mm-hmm. And she's big. She'll eat a couch.
Yeah,
like, if you let her.
Right.
So, I should have thought this through a little more, but because Chip has pissed on people's beds and shit out of anger. Like, she'll jump up she's done it on my older son's bed before. No. Where you're like, was it her? Because I never seen it, right? But it's like the biggest amount of pee that you're like, that has to be Chip.
And Chell isn't.
She can't get up
anymore. Yeah.
Right. And Chip's done this probably like 2 or 3 times since we've had her, like her whole lifetime. So it doesn't happen all the time, but she is capable, right? And so usually if we're going to leave or something like that, I make sure to close all the doors if it's going to be a long time because there's nothing worse than coming home and you have to fucking
pee on a bed.
Oh my God.
Thank fucking God I've never experienced that.
You literally have to get like the carpet cleaner out with the attachment and clean it and like all the special puppy stuff.
That sounds awful.
And we still have rubber sheets, but that shit like goes right through.
Yeah.
Anyway,
they're only rubber for like a minute.
Yeah, like you got to get after that really quick.
Yeah, you got to scoop it all up real quick.
Right? Well, when we got home, Chell was stuck in my older son's room because his door just naturally closes on its own. Like you always have to have something keeping it open. Mm-hmm. So she must have walked in and bumped the fan out of the way and it closed her in. And it took me 2 days to realize she had pissed on the floor, not the bed, but she had pissed on the floor. Anyway, so that's my goddamn. My poor dog was so scared. and locked into a room and pissed on the goddamn floor.
Baby girl.
But I had the best 4th of July.
You know? And that's what matters.
That is what matters. I didn't piss on the floor.
You're goddamn right, you know?
I could have.
To be fair, she's old. She pees on the floor sometimes anyway. You know?
No, it was Chip, not Chell.
Oh, it was Chip, not Chell.
Did I say Chell? It's so hard.
I don't know. I don't remember.
It was Chip. It was the big old dog. Chell. She was probably all anxious running around looking for us, and then she booted her butt on the door, and it shut it, and then she either got scared and peed or was stuck in there for so long that she peed. But I don't think that she was stuck in there that long to pee because, honestly, she never pees in the house. Like, it's the bed thing and out of spite.
She went in there to pee and locked herself in.
Yeah,
like, God damn it.
You know what? Fuck them. Fuck them for leaving me alone. And those fireworks that we were shooting off totally legally were very close to my house, too, and very fucking loud. So it wasn't just like the normal fireworks show. It was also like, you know.
Some closer to home.
Yeah.
Might have been a little louder.
Who knows?
Baby
I'll
girl.
never know because I didn't get to see. But when I came home, she was in that room barking. I'm like, oh, poor baby girl. All right. So, are you ready for this episode? Episode 391?
391.
What?
I've never been more ready for anything in my life.
Thank God, because I'm going to hit you with it.
Let's do it.
So this week, I'm going to tell you about Uta Haylee.
Uta.
Uta Haylee. If you know what it is, you're like, oh, but if you don't, you're like, the fuck is that? Get ready. Get ready. So this week's episode is brought to you by a TikTok commenter.
Ooh.
Who, after seeing our series on the Franklin scandal on TikTok, because it's the only fucking video I've put on social media so far, because it takes a lot of work, okay?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They saw all our little clips on the Franklin scandal on TikTok, where we highlight how the rich and powerful exploited the underprivileged youth via an unvetted access to them through the Boys Town Youth Home.
Yes.
That commenter DM'd us asking us to look into another reform home, like another youth reform home that's called Uta Haylee.
Okay.
So it's the name of like an academy or whatever you want to call it, like how Boys Town was.
Yeah. Uta.
Right.
Does it
Uta
stand
Haylee.
for something?
Oh, I'll tell you.
Okay. Is it an O-O or a U?
UTA, but it's
Okay.
pronounced Uta.
Uta. Or is it an umlaut?
Nope.
Should it be?
Nope.
Feels like it should.
No, it's Native American.
Oh, okay.
Which tribe? Couldn't find. So I'm like, that's fucking bullshit, but we'll get to that.
All right.
So, Uta Haylee is a specialized residential treatment center and school for young women aged 13 to 18, and it's located in Omaha, Nebraska, and it provides a safe, supportive environment for girls navigating trauma, abuse, mental illness, or behavioral struggles.
Okay. Sounds like a nice place.
According to their website.
Yeah. On the About Us section.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything is above board.
Yes, everything is great here. Everything is fine. But our TikTok commenter,
Disagrees?
very much so.
All right. Let's hear it.
According to our TikTok commenter, which, by the way, their name was like spam account 1234 or something. So I genuinely don't know their name. And I'm
So,
sure they don't want their name shared.
Pretty sure
here.
it's all factual.
But you know who you are. And I appreciate you giving us the heads up because, boy, did I go down a rabbit hole.
Ooh, I'm excited.
So according to our TikTok commenter, they claim that the staff at Uta were abusive towards the children housed there and that they would make false statements to the courts to keep the children in their care longer. Now, the TikTok, that's like their specific scenario. The TikToker said that they attended Uta Haylee and they were only supposed to be there for a certain amount of days. And the staff lied about their behavior to keep them longer.
Ew.
I'll explain why. Additionally, the commenter claims that the living conditions were dangerous, citing clear mold growth in the buildings that they were all living in, and the conditions were very cult-like, where the children were required to chant sayings dailies and such. And I was like, excuse the fuck out of me, what did you have to chant? And they were like, I don't remember. It had some, like, it sounded fucking cult-like, like whatever it was.
I watched a documentary recently. I don't remember which house it was, but it was a house like that, and there were girls in it, and they just started doing it like da 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 da.
Yeah.
And it was like a fucking thing that they had to do over and over to like
So
put them in a
weird.
trance, basically.
Oh, I
was
don't
weird.
like it. I don't like it.
When they started doing it, they're like, that brought back like
trauma.
Well,
Immediately after I sent the question, I was like, I shouldn't just be, I'm not authorized to be interviewing anybody with any kind of grace or humility. I'm like, what the fuck did they make you do?
this might fuck you up more, but can you tell me everything?
Yeah. I'll learn that as we navigate this.
Yeah.
So sorry if I traumatized you more. But anyway, this person claims that they were only initially intended to stay at Uta Haylee for 30 days, but ended up being there a year because the staff made up lies about the person, who was a minor at the time.
30 days to a year is fucking wild.
This is a common complaint. This isn't just our commenter. Like, when I started looking into this happens to nearly everybody who is put there, placed there.
Well, it's probably like good, we got one. We got to keep them so
for
that
as long as we
keep
can.
the revenue or whatever.
Exactly. Oh, I'm going to paint it all out for you guys. So they ended up staying there a year, and the staff made up lies about the person and said that the person was fighting the staff and becoming aggressive when they weren't.
That's fucked up.
Now, mind you, the commenter was placed at the facility for not going to school, so for being truant for school because of anxiety. It was like an anxiety-related truancy.
I feel like there's different ways to handle that.
100%.
Than a boarding school that's going to, like, knock it out of you.
Yeah, like, you're not going to school, so the state sends you to a reform school to, like, make your ways better, and then they just trap you there, is essentially what happened to this commenter. And it does not help with your anxiety at all. That's not reform. That's forcing you to do what you want, like what you want of me. Now, they also claim that the staff was also physically abusive towards them and pulled their hair and obviously didn't care about the children in their care. The children residents there are forced to clean the campus prior to audits from licensing. Like, they get a heads up that they're going to be audited and all the kids have to clean it, even though they should be hiring janitors. Like, they're not there to clean. Right. Sure, like, make your bed or whatever, but, like, they're forced to clean the mold and get rid of all the stuff that would make them fail licensing. And they were also made to exercise prior to being allowed to have food. So it's like, in order to get privileges such as food.
That's not a privilege.
And literally the commenter was like, friends thought I was at fat camp because I was starved, essentially, and had to work out so much in order to get my food. No. This is severe mistreatment of our youth.
Oh my God.
Which I see how people could be like, well, you know, you have to exercise, like it's PE or whatever, but like not for your food. Yeah. That's fucking weird.
Yeah. And also, just because you want someone to do something doesn't mean that you have any kind of right to actually obligate them to do it or like force them to do it.
I mean, if you have troubled youth, why aren't we in therapy and working on things? Like, what do you mean we're just forcing them to do shit?
Forcing them to work out for food. Like,
yeah,
what
like
does that
earn your
mean?
keep.
Yeah.
Bitch, you got it from you got the money to pay for the food from the state. You didn't even earn your keep.
Right.
Your keep is that you're keeping me.
Right.
So keep me.
Like, why don't you offer privileges like TV time? And for that, you have to work out. Right. You know? Not like human rights.
Right. Well, I'm going to explain to you why the model is the way that it is. Okay. So it won't be as surprising. Not that we're that surprised, but it is surprising that it happens, and it still is, and it's very common and large and legal. So... Wild. Also, just one last little point before we get into it. Not surprisingly, there are several cases of sexual abuse between the staff and the children there. Several. Gross. So, obviously this grabbed my attention, and I did some digging. Investigator Stacey is clocking in.
Fucking got your cap on.
So get
on the
ready,
case.
because here is what I discovered.
What'd you discover?
First of all, Uta Haylee opened its doors in 1950, and it was founded by a Christian women's movement called Church Women United, and it was founded as the Uta Haylee Girls Village, kind of like Boys Town, in Omaha, Nebraska. Which wasn't Boys Town in Omaha, Nebraska?
I think it was the Nebraska.
It was.
Oh, okay.
It was. Now, I remember they were 13 to 15 miles apart, these two places, okay? So they were very close to each other, Boys Town and Girls Town, a.k.a. Uta Haylee Girls Village.
Boys Town and Girls Village.
Right.
Can I get a chick chalet?
Honestly.
I don't want a girls' village.
No, we need a chick chalet in the Swiss Alps.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or like a cunt cavern. I don't know.
Whoa, I like it. Minus the cavern part. That sounds a little spooky. But
all right.
Could be a vibe in October.
Maybe a cottage.
Cunt cottage. Does have a good ring. Anyway, so
or
this
a
cunt
bitch
cottage.
barn. I don't know.
I like bitch barn. I can get behind bitch barn. All right. This women's movement, this church women's movement is what created the Uta Haylee Girls Village in Omaha, Nebraska, to provide residential care, safety, and psychiatric treatment for at-risk and emotionally troubled women.
Sounds like a good thing.
Fun fact, Uta Haylee is Native American for on the sunny side. I said, which tribe says Uta Haylee for on the sunny side? And it would not tell me. And I'm like, that's fucking bullshit. Utah for Utah. I don't know what it is. I don't know why I'm mad at it, but evidently it means on the sunny side.
On the sunny side, but we're erasing the history from whence it came.
Yep, exactly. Now, Uta Haylee Girls Village operated for 6 decades.
Goddamn.
Yeah, because it opened in 1950, right?
Yep, I remember.
Until in December of 2011, they shut their doors due to funding issues, which I'm going to explain quickly.
Okay.
The facility operated as a private nonprofit that relied on service contracts with the Nebraska State Department of Health and Human Services. So the state would pay per day fee for each head of girls that they housed that occupied the facility.
Mm-hmm.
And the more help that the girls needed, so if you were more troubled, you would get more money from the state for housing that troubled girl,
Well, because
right?
they need more resources like therapy and food.
Right, exactly. So that's how Uta Haylee was making their money. It was these contracts through the state.
Butts in the seat.
Mm-hmm.
Same way schools do it.
Exactly. So in 2009, the state changed the laws, deciding that they didn't want to manage foster care and group homes anymore because it made the state responsible then for those group homes that they were placing the people in.
Okay.
So they privatized the system. The state instead sent the money that they would gather, like taxpayer dollars, to pay for troubled youth that would be allocated by the budget, right? They sent that money. Instead of paying Uta Haylee directly, they would send it to a few private corporate charities, and they told these private corporate charities to shell out the money how they see fit. So, like, this charity is responsible for troubled youth in this area.
You determine where it needs to go.
Right. We're going to give you the money, and it's now your responsibility to see that it is spent how it should be because you know the market better than we do. We're just the state.
Okay, that seems like it would be two ways. A good idea, because then you have like people who know what's going on and everything, but then you also just have more people, which is not great.
Right.
Like more people in control.
Involved.
Yeah,
like through the
involved in it,
pipeline.
and
Well, you're
I
kind of
don't like
hitting
that.
some of the issues. This left Uta Haylee to beg the private corporate middleman for any kind of funding, which didn't work well in their favor because the corporate charities are motivated to offer lower rates per bed in an attempt to stay under budget or to stay on the budget that the state gives them.
Yeah.
So that they could keep the remaining state tax dollars to fund their company to pay out their C-suite employees. Okay? So it's not legal for them to directly pay themselves out. I'll explain how that all works out in a moment.
Okay.
But I'm just showing you there's a motivation here of like, well, we're given this money, but if we give you all the money, we're not going to have any profits in the end.
Yeah.
And we need to make money because
but
we're a
charities
private,
are supposed to be nonprofit.
but we're privatized. So it's not that you can be a for-profit and you can gain money from it legally, which I will explain.
Okay.
So another thing, which you were kind of getting at because there's more people involved, these corporate charities, when they would grant Uta Haylee money, they would fail to pay them on time and often had computer issues and such, like, you know, the whole like supply chain system to give them money and whatever. It wasn't through the state anymore. It was through these privatized companies, and they experienced a lot of technical issues and glitches. So Uta Haylee would go months without any funding at a time, and it ultimately forced them to close their doors because you can't operate without money.
Yeah, fair.
Also, the corporate charities were motivated to try to get the girls to stay in cheaper foster care systems instead of the more expensive reform homes like Uta Haylee, again, so that they could keep the money that the state was giving them.
So they're not pushing kids to stay there. They're trying to place kids elsewhere.
They're
basically.
finding the cheapest option.
Yeah.
That's their motivation.
Yeah.
The least amount of money that we can spend on these kids because we got a lot of they got the billions of dollars in tax money.
Can't give it all to these kids.
Can't give it all. Well, not for a billionaire. Billionaire's not in the business of giving money away.
What
They're
are
in the
they
business
going to
of
do
keeping
with it? You know?
So, Uta Haylee's doors were closed for a few years in 2011 until December 2nd, 2013, when they reopened their doors when a for-profit company called Rite of Passage came in and bought the campus and completely changed the business model. Okay? Instead of operating as a single independent nonprofit, Rite of Passage changed the model to operating as a national corporate entity and proceeded to purchase empty or struggling youth facilities across the nation and put them under the Rite of Passage corporate umbrella.
Okay, so now we're opening a chain foster home.
Right. So you're taking all the ones that are failing because they can't get the state funding, and you're putting it under your for-profit corporate umbrella, and you have all these nonprofits, okay? And you have your for-corporate Rite of Passage umbrella.
Okay.
This allowed Rite of Passage, or ROP, moving forward, if I call it ROP, it's Rite of Passage, to insulate itself from future state regulatory changes to funding, because if one facility is hit with like strict funding regulations in a specific state, a more profitable facility in another state can help finance that struggling site to keep it afloat, because each state has its own laws, right?
Okay.
And so, for example, Like California's a lot more strict to run a home, but Nevada's not. And if you own like this corporate umbrella of all the states, for whatever reason, if like California loses its funding, you can pull from Nevada and pay for California's to keep it afloat. Okay. So a bit more about the parent umbrella company, Rite of Passage, before we move on onto the Uta Haylee specific area, right? Because I just told you they're a corporate umbrella company, so there's some back history we need to understand. Rite of Passage was formed in February of 1984 by a psychiatric technician named Dave McGuire. Now, Dave, he was working in Napa State Hospital in California, and he noticed that some of the youth that he was working with did not respond well to the hospital-like setting of previous institutions. And he came up with the idea of a group home that was based around physical exercise, like sports or camping or whatever, to help the children overcome their mental troubles, as opposed to medicine or confinement, which is what the typical way of treating them was. The first home that Dave opened was in Sierra Nevada mountains near Gardnerville, Nevada. But he soon realized the mountains allowed the kids to run away from the camp and hide pretty easily. So he moved the camp to the desert where it's harder to run away.
Yeah.
Because you'll fucking die. Now? It's like holes, okay?
Yeah.
But I mean, to his point, he is dealing with troubled youth and everything, and they are probably going to try to run away from like a home that's like being like, you need to follow the rules.
Yeah. You could also get, like, stricter security or, like, a fence.
Yeah, or something. But again, it sounds kind of like he's like, but I don't want them to be confined.
Yeah.
But also, the ones that run away, I don't want them to get far and bring them back and teach them their ways, whatever.
So now, if they run away, they'll die.
Yeah.
And that'll be up
way
to
better.
them.
Way better. Mm-hmm. What made Rite of Passage unique was that he made a licensing deal with the local Washoe tribe of Nevada in California, where they leased the land to Dave for the use of the ROP camp. So he literally leased the land from the Native Americans to run his camp. So this
I didn't know you could just take it back like that.
I
guess they're not taking it back. He's
you're
paying
just borrowing
for it. But, like, god damn. I thought that was
like
theirs.
a conflict of interest, my friend.
I thought it was the thing. You can't have that.
They were like, nah, they gave us all the shit land. We can't survive here. If you want to put some troubled youth out here, we'll take some cash for it.
Yeah, no kidding. If you're going to pay us to use it, sure.
Right. So this leasing agreement with the native tribes allowed for a legal loophole where previously California, who had the stricter laws about caring for minors, couldn't send troubled youth to Nevada because then you'd have to be audited by the California Licensing Board, by the California standards, right? So like if you live in California and you're a troubled youth, the state can't place you in another state's home.
Yeah.
Because there's laws that you're protected by as being a California citizen, right?
Okay.
So same thing. But for whatever reason, because the land was owned by natives, this created a loophole where now California could send their troubled youth to the Nevada camp and not have any legal issues because it's not Nevada or California, it's the tribe land. I'm assuming. Okay. I don't know how the laws work, but it made it legal for him to do that.
It's like fucking maritime law. It's their laws, just and whatever they say is allowed is allowed.
Whatever happens.
All right.
So, in a system that is strained for care for the troubled youth, having outside state facilities with beds is like a gold mine, right? Yeah. Like, we can send them either which way. There's a lot less restrictions, and you could get a lot more heads in beds. Mm-hmm. The structure at the ROP camp was basically that you had to earn your right back into society. So, there were levels of progression, hence the rite of passage. Mm-hmm. So they had, quote, rookies who were the new arrivals who learned campus norms and rules and behaviors. Mm-hmm. You had, quote, interns who worked on behavioral modification and social productivity. And then finally, the ultimate level you wanted to reach were RAMs, where you would take on leadership roles, you actually addressed your core issues, and you were working to transition back into society.
Okay. Does RAM stand for something?
I don't know. Maybe just Rams in the desert, like you're real... You can ram into things. I have no fucking idea.
All right. Sure, maybe.
So, shortly after opening its doors, a man by the name of Ski James Broman.
Okay.
I don't know why his first name is Ski.
I don't know why his last name's Broman.
But literally, I will call him Ski henceforth.
Okay.
Okay.
What's up, Ski?
But he joined... Ski joined the leadership team and helped scale Rite of Passage from the single Nevada desert group into the massive multi-state corporate youth service provider that would go on to buy Uta Haylee. So Rite of Passage for Uta Haylee, at that point in our story, is the big corporate umbrella that Ski Broman helped create.
Okay.
But Rite of Passage was originally a small desert camp that they then turned into this big corporate entity, okay?
Okay.
So Ski started as a counselor and worked his way up, like I was saying, to CEO and president in 1993. In 93, Dave eventually left the company that he had originally created because he wanted to go on and create other programs that were related to like stuttering therapy, which I guess he suffered from stuttering. Okay. So he genuinely just came in and was like, here's my camp. And Ski came in and was like, this shit's legit. I'm going to blow it up. And Dave was like, all right, toodles noodles. I'm going to go back and do whatever the fuck I want to do over here. I'm not trying to make an empire.
Yeah.
I'm trying to help people.
And Ski was like, this is the best place I've ever been. It's a camp full of girls. Let me make a bunch of them.
For Uta Haylee.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he started off at Rite of Passage.
Oh, okay,
that was all boys.
and girls.
Yeah.
Oh,
that was all boys, I think.
Okay. Sorry. My bad.
So Ski was able to partner with universities and research institutions over the years, like the University of Nevada, Reno, and the University of Denver, to study and prove the effectiveness of Rite of Passage's, quote, positive youth development model, and put actual data behind their model to show that the kids were being reformed at a cheaper rate than, say, a juvenile prison system. So he was able to work with the university somehow, some networking, some way, okay? Which I tried digging and understanding, but there's not much about this Ski Broman, okay? So somehow he magically got his little fingers in there and he was able to get the university to help back him with fucking stats, right?
Okay.
Ski gained access to the state legislatures by presenting the data-driven proof that his programs could rehabilitate troubled youth at a much lower cost than the state-run prisons or juvenile systems or whatever the fuck they had going on, foster care systems, all that. So the state looked at this option as an attractive one because it was offering care for the youth at a cheaper cost and potentially saved the state future expenses on court costs and law enforcement for these troubled youth, right?
Sure, yeah.
So he went on his little elevator pitch and it fucking worked. It also took the state out of the legal risk if anything nefarious went down at those campuses, right? Like the whole reason that they wanted to privatize it in the first place. Okay, so here we are now in a model where Ski Broman has procured millions of federal and state taxpayer dollars from 18 states to fund over 70 programs nationwide intended to help reform the troubled children. And Uta Haylee is one of those facilities.
Okay.
It's to a point now where ROP brings in roughly $175 million in revenue annually. Revenue.
God damn.
Meaning that those 18 states likely have provided Ski with billions of dollars in state and federal taxpayer dollars to fund and operate these homes over the years. Because this model kicked off, I think it was the 2013s or something is when, early 2010s is when he started buying all these places up. So he's had some years to collect on that to get to a revenue of $175 million a year.
That's nuts.
That's crazy. Now, here's the catch. Because these homes are run as a nonprofit, but the overarching parent company, ROP, is for profit, the checks are cut for the nonprofit agencies like Uta Haylee from the state or federal, whatever, wherever we're getting the money from. And whatever they don't use at the end of the year is then given to the parent for-profit company, Rite of Passage in this case, under the guise of, quote, operating fees or whatever they want to charge for, to be used how they please. Okay? All of this is legal because Rite of Passage is providing some service to the nonprofit and charging them. Again, I'll go into the breakdown of all of this, but it's going to be different for each parent company that owns all of these ancillary failing communities that they're then buying up and getting state funded dollars.
Yeah.
But in this scenario, the parent company is charging these smaller facilities for some sort of service. And that is how they're getting the taxpayer dollars into the nonprofit corporate accounts.
Yeah.
Legally. It's all legal because they're providing a service.
Being part of a franchise or something.
Exactly.
You have to pay that fee or cost or whatever.
Right. So this drives the motivation, again, to operate these reform homes on a bare bones budget to allow for the excess taxpayer funds to be funneled back to the ROP parent company to pay its executive salaries and bonuses and shit.
Yeah.
Under the guise of, I don't know, fucking offering advice.
They want it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Additionally, Ski James Broman happens to be the proud owner of 2 shell companies associated with ROP, which, as we have learned, the shell companies are the kings with these billionaires. And by the way, Ski Broman is a billionaire.
Yeah.
Okay, in case it wasn't obvious yet. So about Ski Broman's shell companies.
Mm-hmm.
One is called American Human Services Corp., which is a private real estate holding company owned by Ski, which owns several parcels of land that it leases to ROP and its network. Essentially, Ski buys the land through the real estate shell company and leases the land to his nonprofit youth reform homes, which we know are owned through ROP as, as the parent company.
Mm-hmm.
And then those nonprofit youth reform homes pay the private real estate holding company, aka Ski, his shell company, with the taxpayer money for leasing that land.
Okay.
So there are several funnels for snagging the taxpayer money. One is for his CEO salary bonus for running Rite of Passage, and one for the land that he's leasing on indefinite contracts.
Yeah.
Like, he owns the land.
And
he bought the
lease
company
it to his own company.
and he buys the
that is getting paid for by the government. Yeah.
So he's buying Uta Haylee's land from his shell company and then charging Uta Haylee through Rite of Passage for using the land that he owns.
Yeah.
But he's doing it all through the shell company so that the taxpayer dollars transfer through to him, okay?
Sure. Yeah, that's how a billionaire would do it.
That is how they all do it.
Yeah.
That is literally how they're all doing it.
Yeah.
Like all those previous financial crimes I was reporting on and I didn't quite understand the use of shell companies, I'm suddenly like, oh, you could do it in any fucking market.
In everything.
And
yeah.
it seems to be the ones with the highest state funding that get targeted. Okay, so it's all suddenly making sense to me here.
Yeah.
Like, the whole goal is to get the taxpayer, to get our money, because it's technically money that's vetted for anything. We're all giving it to you and being like, let's make humanity better.
Just ask for it.
And then it's under the guise of like, oh man, I'm so charitable. I want to take care of these children, and the youth are everything.
Look how nice I am. I'll let you use this big plot of land here that I've bought.
Yeah, and I'll only charge you a fair fee.
Yes.
Of the highest market value.
Of course.
That I can legally get away with.
Fair market rent, you know?
Right? Exactly. So that means that when state and federal tax dollars are used to pay for the youth services, a portion of that money paid to Uta Haylee goes to Ski's shell company, American Human Service Corp., to pay for the lease of the land to operate that facility, as well as any other additional property or management fees that Ski sees fit to charge.
Yeah, sure.
Because he's approving these charges also, because he owns the other companies.
Yeah. Well, he's like, well, that rent sounds reasonable. I wrote it.
Exactly. And this is on multiple facilities, not just Uta Haylee, right?
Yeah.
I think there was like 70 facilities. I can guarantee you if I looked into each one, it's exactly the same model.
Yeah.
In order to hide his wealth, Ski opened, I'm being all shady. I don't know if that's why he opened it, but it's a great way to hide your wealth, okay? Mm-hmm. So he opened a second shell company called Friel Peak LLC. Now, Friel Peak is like a local landmark by where he lives, okay?
Okay.
So it's an LLC, which I'm not clear if this LLC is a real estate company or an asset management company or what, because it doesn't really tell you that part. But whatever services they offer, executives can move those taxpayer dollars from the private-owned American Human Service Corp company, so that real estate company that he has, they can legally move the funds to Friel Peak LLC, and the execs can pay themselves out from the private shell company and buy jets and multi-million-dollar homes from that account and everything.
Okay.
And the reason that they do that is that because the LLC is treated as its own person, it's a limited liability corporation, so like it's not going to have an individual name tied to anything. None of the execs have to put their name on any of the property or deeds or anything, and the assets aren't up for public review because it's all private and it's an LLC. So you could do whatever the fuck you want with that money. You could pay anybody you want with it, and you could easily trace the taxpayer dollars to his real estate shell company. But after that, you lose visibility because it's two private companies changing funds interchangeably, and he owns them both, so you can charge for whatever fucking service you want, and you can pay anybody out without any names being tied to it in a way that the public can know.
Okay. Wow, that's shady as fuck.
It's shady as fuck. But guess what? They all Do it.
Yep, I believe that.
Every time I have looked up any of these motherfuckers, it's always so confusing. They always say follow the money, but it gets confusing because they have so many shell companies. But once you understand the basic recipe of like, you need multiple shell companies because they're private and they can move it around. And then if they're associated with nonprofits or philanthropic events such as global health Bill Gates, like I would love to chase that one down. I'm sure you're very motivated by global health, my friend. Like, come on. All of these billionaires that are so involved. I give away more money than anybody else. Yeah, you give it away because it's going right back into your fucking pocket, homie.
Right, yeah.
Like, there's no, you're not tricking anybody. Anyway, well, you're tricking us all, but not this girl anymore.
Not this one.
Which is so hard to chase these down, right?
Right.
Like, I'm giving you what I have found from my investigation sitting on my fucking couch. And if I can find enough to piece together to say, this is fishy, it's legal, it's all legal. It's actually all legal because the way it's legal is as long as he's charging fair market value for his services and for his land and everything, he can do business with whoever he wants, even himself.
Yeah.
And it only becomes a conflict of interest if there's like actual legal audits or something happening. Like he can't audit himself. But there's even ways around that. So
I'll bet that too. All right.
because of this structure and everything, there's no reliable source for me to go to confirm Ski Broman's net worth.
Okay. Yeah.
However, like we were saying, we do know that he makes an upper six-figure salary as CEO of Rite of Passage every year, which would not include any of the money that he makes in leasing the properties and everything else. So just his CEO position on the Rite of Passage board, he's making almost $1 million a year.
That's
what
nuts.
it's like, a high six figures.
Yeah, that's fucking wild.
Just for that. And I just already painted 2 other scenarios where he could pull money
Yeah,
anywhere.
That's not including the rent that they all have to pay, which is probably
Across 70 facilities.
triple that. Yeah.
So for you to say he's probably a billionaire or whatever, you're right. Like,
Yeah.
he's got to be. There's no, I don't have, unless he gets sued or something and we got to go through like discovery.
Right. It's wild that a man named Ski has gotten so
That far.
Yeah, far in life.
He looks like your
tip.
They probably call him James because his middle name was James, right?
Mm,
I'm calling
no,
him
you
Ski
go by
because your
Ski.
fucking name is Ski.
Yeah, your fucking name
Ski
is
Broman.
Ski.
And he also looks like all these other motherfucking rich billionaires, you know? Like, he
Right.
just looks like a fucking dude that probably doesn't, probably knows what he's talking about, but it's because he knows the legals in and out in order to get around it.
Right.
So several of the group homes under the Rite of Passage umbrella have complaints of sexual assault by the staff, along
Gross.
with physical and verbal abuse, imprisonment, as well as staff complaints of labor law violations,
Oh.
of not allowing proper breaks or proper pay.
Okay.
Which, to be fair, you are working with troubled youth, so you would expect there's going to be complaints and issues. But honestly, with all of our latest investigation and everything, with into Boys Town and all that other stuff, I'm going to go ahead and raise a red flag here and say that this is something that we should all be like paying attention to and demanding from our local state representatives, especially if one of these facilities is in your neighborhood.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
You know,
Like, just
this
go
could be
check it
your
out.
kid on accident. The state
Yeah.
like demanding they go there because they're fucking truant from school,
Right.
whatever, you know. And at the bare minimum, we should be questioning the laws that allow these business models to be legal, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, sure, you can hire whoever you want, but if you're also the sole financial, you know,
There should
winner,
be
then you
audits.
shouldn't be allowed to do that.
Yeah, there should be checks and balances.
Mm-hmm. Because when you think about it, this is the same story that keeps cycling over and over again. And as a society, we keep ignoring it because they keep snuffing it out. I already did that whole episode on Boys Town and how they were tied to likely supplying the boys for human trafficking to the Franklin scandal, and how we found the financial ties to Boys Town back to the abusers at the time. Like, it was like the father of one of the ladies who was like friends with one of the main abusers what funded Father Flanagan's whole startup of the Boys Town.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you have an insider scoop, like, yeah, let's create this facility and I'll take the boys, whatever.
Yeah.
That was my whole allegation during that thing, which I would argue I just substantiated again with ROP. Like, not that he's molesting the people, but there's a perfect motive for him to not give a fuck.
Yeah, for
He
him
just
to
wants
not
the
give
money.
a fuck. And if the facilities are poorly run by people who don't give a fuck and
You
don't
could
have
easily
money,
be human trafficked from there and no one would know.
Yeah. That's a
It's like
Easy
not
place to prey on.
intentional, but it is a byproduct of your
Sure.
malpractice.
yeah.
I
It
will
might
call
not
it.
have been intentional at first.
Right. But it's just like, you don't mean to blow your hands off, but when you're lighting off fireworks from TJ, you don't know how they were packed, you might blow your hands off.
Sometimes it's gonna happen.
Yeah, sometimes someone's going to get trafficked. Okay, so But do you remember Paris Hilton back in the 2000s? Okay,
yes.
wait. And
when she did The Simple Life with Nicole Richie?
Yeah, but right before that, she had been sent to a reform home also. Did you know this?
I feel like I heard about it, but I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, because she didn't say anything about it until recently. She started coming out with this whole Epstein shit, which I thought, is this a weird way to try to get the media away from Epstein and onto Paris? But I feel like it kind of, like, if she's in on it and her family's in on, like, get the billionaires, save them, whatever, and she's being used as a pawn. But I actually think it was just a good time for her to come out and say all this. She was sent to a reform home, and she's recently been coming out into the public and talking about how she was abused and mistreated as well.
I believe
and
it.
she is a fucking rich girl, okay?
Yeah.
I did a quick peek at the financial structure of the place where Paris Hilton was sent, and it was called Provo Canyon School. And I'm not going to map it all out here, but if you trace down the majority financial ownership into the school, it leads to two billionaires named John C. Goff and Richard Rainwater, who are deeply embedded in state and federal politics, real estate, and education funding at the Texas A&M University.
Okay. So the top, 3 things that you need to run a group home.
All the same shit we're seeing in the Epstein files, all the same shit we see with all the other billionaires where they seem to be really involved in education, youth reform, and global health and all this other really great sounding shit.
Out of the goodness of their heart.
Right. So, we should all at least be annoyed. And Rite of Passage is just one of many companies running this model, making men rich off of the disadvantaged youth and our taxpayer dollars.
Which is fucked up.
So of the 70-plus Rite of Passage facilities across the 18 states, I think it's something like 15 facilities across 6 states have cases of at least alleged sexual assault on a minor by either the staff or a fellow resident. Mm-hmm. So it's rampant, I would argue. Many of the allegations are hard to find in official reports because they are all minors. However, if you just dig through the internet, so many people on Reddit and TikTok and other social media are claiming that they were there. Literally, our TikTok, we have 2 people. I only talked to one, but there was another person that was like, I attended Boys Town just last year and it was awful. Like, it's still happening actively today, and they're all saying the exact same shit. Like, they're all backing each other up, and they don't even know each other. They're on the internet.
Right.
That's crazy.
That's wild.
Right.
It's wild that they're kids, and so, we just don't listen.
I know. We're just they're troubled kids, so that's even worse.
Right, yeah,
They don't listen, so you don't listen. Yeah.
Yeah. They don't listen, so you don't listen. Yeah.
Obviously, some people on the internet do credit the kinder staff for being there for them during their troubled times, because there are good people that work there.
I'm sure.
Too.
I'm sure. Not everyone that applies there is like, hey, I like kids or whatever.
Right.
A lot of them are probably people who went
I'm
into
a therapist.
education or therapy.
Yeah,
or
I want to help.
Whatever, fucking civil service. I don't know what the other one is, like the social workers.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I'll bet a lot of them would apply to try and help.
Right. And then they get there and they're like, this place is a fucking disaster and I don't get paid enough goddamn money. I'm going to leave.
Because fucking this guy keeps touching the kids.
I'm sure the turnover is quite high there.
Oh, it's sad.
But the majority of the complaints that you find online, or the majority of the comments you find online, are complaints and are about inappropriate misconduct by the teachers at these facilities of a sexual nature. And remember, these are minors.
Yeah.
So, ew!
Yeah.
Also, interestingly, remember episode 381, right? Where we discussed the Franklin scandal and all of that. Mm-hmm. Well, if you recall, the lead investigator in that case, Gary Caradori, this is the guy that died before handing over all of his evidence in a fiery plane crash when he was taking his son to the World Series, and he had the briefcase that went missing, and evidently in this briefcase was everything to blow open the Boys Town investigation, right? To prove it. But they couldn't find it. And then ultimately a jury decided that, it was just a carefully crafted hoax. Mm-hmm. Well, that investigator, while he was looking into Boys Town, specifically named Uta Haylee back in the 80s as prime hunting grounds for human traffickers, claiming to have evidence that because of the lack of oversight and care given to the children at these facilities, when the kids ran away, people were waiting to pick them up and put them into the Franklin scandal human trafficking.
Oh my God.
And he specifically named Uta Haylee. But Uta Haylee got lumped in with Boys Town in that grand jury decision when they said it's just all a carefully crafted hoax. Bomb, fucking bomb.
What the fuck?
What? And it's still operating today. Uta Haylee still operates today.
Hey, don't run away from there.
Don't run away. They gonna get you.
They gonna snatch you.
So, I'll also remind you, because I know you know, but anybody listening, if you've read about the Jeffrey Epstein survivor, Virginia Giuffre, The exact same thing happened to her when she escaped a group facility called Growing Together in Palm Beach, Florida in the 80s when she was younger. Her mom put her there, right? Mm-hmm. And she escaped, and immediately when she ran away, this is when her first rich man abuser, a man by the name of Ron Eppinger, picked her up.
In a limo.
In a fucking limo.
While she's crying on the side of the road, wondering, well, she
what am I going to do?
Actually just been raped.
Yeah, so that's lovely.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah.
She got out, and then some guy was like, yo, you need a ride, and she was like, yeah, and then he took her to a hotel, and he's like, I just gotta grab something real quick, and
Let
then
me
he
rape you
raped her
real
in
quick.
the hotel,
Mm-hmm.
and then she got out, and then was crying, because she was like, I just been raped, and then fucking
got picked up by another raper.
Came up in a limo, and she's like, this has gotta be
Took
better.
her shopping. Let me buy you all the clothes you could ever want, but they have to be a hoe.
She was 13.
Yeah.
That's fucking wild.
That's what they're doing. It's intentional. It literally happened to her. This exact same model that I am arguing is happening today.
Right. Yeah.
We have two famous, I would argue famous, Virginia's famous now, and Paris Hilton.
Yeah.
Happened to them.
Yeah.
And the whole Boys Town investigation, well, that was their argument, was that they're being picked up from there.
You know what's wild, though, is that you all think of that predator. Like, it's a creepy old man, and you're like, ew, who would that be? Him. Why?
Yeah.
This old man?
I don't know.
And then while he's doing it, you're rolling down the window like, I'm about to creep on this fucking little girl.
I know.
Wild. Blows my mind.
So a bit more about Rite of Passage, okay? Back to this one. The Chief Administrative Officer and Executive Director of Rite of Passage is a man by the name of Lawrence Howell. And as part of his job at ROP, he oversees corporate compliance and ethics. He is also a certified U.S. Department of Justice Prison Rape Elimination Act auditor, which is a big mouthful.
Okay.
Which is essentially the standards a facility is held by to ensure there isn't sexual misconduct happening at these youth homes.
You can have 2 cockroaches.
Right.
And 3 rapes.
Right.
And no more than that. Otherwise, you're going to get a B rating.
Right. I think they call it like a PREA auditor or something because it's like Prison Rape Elimination Act auditor.
Okay, yeah.
Something like that, okay?
Yeah.
And it's through the DOJ. So he is certified through the DOJ to be able to perform these audits to make sure that people are not being molested at the ROP facilities, right?
Good.
But by law, Lawrence is not allowed to perform the audits on behalf of ROP since he has a vested financial interest in the company.
Also fair.
But he can provide advice on how to pass the audits.
Oh.
But like third-party companies...
Is the advice, don't rape?
Probably like cover this up. Hey, you have somebody coming to audit. Why don't you go do this? Why not? That's my speculation. You could also just want somebody on the board to like, oh, look, we're so ethical. I have somebody on the board to make sure that stuff doesn't happen. But he's not allowed to audit, but he does know the ins and outs, and he does know what you need to do to make sure you don't get busted on an audit because you want those taxpayer dollars, right? So I'm just saying.
But I'd like to think that his intentions are in the right place, right? Like, he got all the way certified for that.
Could be.
So let's hope. I'm so naive, I think.
To be fair, you could be right, but I am learning that these billionaires did not get to be billionaires for no. If you're also rich,
and
that makes me question.
Also, didn't take a lot to certify them. It was probably like his dad's friend who's like, now you're certified.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't. Yeah. And a lot of this stuff is hard to trace down, right? Because these people are pretty private.
Yeah.
But also, so that whole thing about the Lawrence Howell guy, I'm just stating he knows how to get through an audit. And I have looked up, they do have audits that you can find online. And like the latest one I could find was 2018 and they passed. But then at the same time in 2023, and I looked up the auditor too because there was a name, William Benjamin was the name of the auditor. And when I traced it back, it came from a company that he owned, that he created called like Williams Consulting or whatever. And he's in fucking New York. And I'm like, that's weird that you have a New York guy doing this kind of audits and stuff. But maybe it's not weird. But to me, for all the other financial shit that I've been looking into, a lot of shit seems to be tied back to New York. And these billionaires.
It is weird. And you would think that it would have to be like statewide, but maybe because it was on native land, then they can get it from wherever. Kind of like,
well, that was,
earlier,
this isn't native land anymore. Now this is all Rite of Passage land. They've bought the land. The native land was the original Rite of Passage. Yeah. The laws have changed so much now that because it's an umbrella company that's multi-state, they can send kids to and from now.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, red flag, let's look at it. But I've looked as hard as I could in, the 20 minutes I had to research. And there's nothing, like, without, like, a FOIA request or something. Yeah. I don't know what you have to do to get that information. But I'm just saying, that's weird.
Yeah.
That's weird. That's
Who is that guy? Why is it him?
So there was a 2023 internal oversight email from Arkansas Juvenile Ombudsman Coordinator Brooke Digby.
Okay.
So she's just an ombudsman looking through, and she did an audit on a facility, and she's sending an email to the ROP leadership. Mm-hmm. So you have Ski Broman on there and all the other, board members. So this email raises system-wide concerns across multiple Rite of Passage operated juvenile facilities in Arkansas alone. So she's only responsible for the state of Arkansas. And this is available online. I had to fucking dig to find this, okay? Because when you look up Rite of Passage, they probably have really good internet scrubbers or whatever.
Right, they're trying to bury it.
Because the only way you can find anything in the news is like, oh, these people from Rite of Passage ran away. Or like Uta Haylee, 4 girls ran away and they were missing. But then you never find any follow-up if they were found. But then I found one of the girls stabbed her fucking stepdad or some shit like years later. So she obviously was found.
Yeah.
But, and they're obviously not reformed if they're stabbing people. What the fuck is going on here?
Right. That one didn't work.
So you have to really kind of fill in the gaps and think for yourself here, because it's not just all pretty,
laid out.
Written out, other than this is the best I could give you, But I did find this email from an ombudsman in Arkansas sent to the ROP people being like, there's system-wide concerns across multiple of your operations in Arkansas that alleges widespread operational failures across treatment delivery, staffing, safety, and compliance. Mm-hmm. So there were treatment failures and lack of rehabilitation services where youth were not receiving required weekly individual therapy or monthly family therapy per the contract that they have to provide to get state funding. Mm-hmm. Missing or poorly documented treatment plans and progress notes, so they just wouldn't have any information on the clients.
And then just make it up on the day of. Mm-hmm.
Therapists unable to identify goals, risk areas, or treatment progress.
That's not good.
Youth remaining in custody longer due to, quote, lack of treatment completion, which is what our commenter wrote in about. Mm-hmm. Sex offender treatment programs unable to be completed due to lack of therapist support and assignments, so they don't have the proper staff to, do the things they say they're going to do.
So they're getting all this money, and yet they are understaffed because all the money is just bypassing them and going straight to the top.
$175 million a year in revenue.
And they don't have enough money for a therapist at a group home?
Yep.
That's fucking wild.
So the staff misconduct and abuse allegations are... There's allegations of staff physically assaulting youth, which we heard a bunch about in our comments. Claims of improper use of isolation or solitary confinement beyond policy limits. And people wrote in saying they were locked up for days at a time. Mm-hmm. Reports of youth being locked in rooms for extended periods of time, including full days with minimal release. Ugh. Allegations of staff using racial slurs towards youth. Claims of staff engagement in inappropriate relationships or sexual misconduct on campus.
Gross.
Dude, all the fucking comments. Gross. All the comments online, it would be like, Mr. So-and-so, ha ha ha. And I'm like, what does Mr. So-and-so mean? Or they were referencing Cabin 3 for Uta Haylee. And I was like, what happens in Cabin 3? But nobody told me anything. So I don't fucking know.
Oh, no.
But reports of staff sleeping with or engaging in sexual activity while on duty.
Well,
from
when else
the
are you
youth.
Going to do it when you leave?
Yeah, I know, but the youth are they're trusting you.
Well, they're children.
Also,
first and foremost,
there were comments. I'm sure this is going to be in my list of stuff, but there were comments of people saying the cameras were strategically placed and people knew where they were at. So if you went and did your laundry, they would go fuck around with you in the laundry room and mess with you there because there's no cameras or whatever.
That's fucked up.
Yeah. So contraband and criminal activity inside the facility.
How does a reform school, place, anything, any kind of rehab facility not have cameras everywhere though? How
I'm sure
would
there's
you get
privacy
blind
concerns.
spots? I mean, in their rooms or something, or I don't know.
I guess the laundry room seems to be a good blind spot. Maybe because it has a sink or something, there's some weird rule they can get away with it.
Right. Don't want to see their unmentionables.
But just to continue on, this ombudsman listed off all these fucking issues in this email, okay? It was a big email. It says there's allegations of staff bringing in drugs, vapes, and marijuana products. Claims of...
Fun.
I know, right? Claims of youth paying staff to smuggle in the contraband. Reports of stolen money exchanged for drugs. concerns of dirty staff were contributing to the circulation, right?
Dirty
like,
how?
I think like dirty, like you're bringing in drugs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, syphilis?
There were reports of youth being sexually assaulted on campus in multiple areas, like the laundry room, office day room spaces, and hygiene rooms, where you wouldn't have cameras.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Hygiene rooms.
Claims that prior similar incidents have occurred in the same locations before. Concerns that camera coverage was insufficient in high-risk areas, and allegations of staff member being arrested, charged in a sexual assault case. So I had dug into some of the those audits, they would say like a number, like how many are incompliant, or it was like, there was only one youth complained of sexual assault, but it was youth on youth. And then this other facility was like youth on administrator, but then it would just have like the number 3. So then there were 3 claims of that across all these Rite of Passage ones. I didn't go through and break them all down because there's a fuck ton of them, but like every single one of them had at least one tally mark in one of the goddamn columns.
Yeah.
So it's
there
not
was
unheard of.
Inappropriateness going on.
Exactly. I mean, I could go on and on. Like they weren't being, the classrooms were overcrowded. There wasn't a right student to teacher ratio. There was high staff turnover. So the ombudsman describes it as being in crisis mode. These facilities are in crisis modes because you can't keep anybody, because anybody worth keeping is going to leave because they see the abuse. And then the people who stay just want the money, and they're getting paid the lowest level. So what kind of people are you bringing in?
Right. And then they're going to get paid more if they bring in vapes for the kids or whatever.
Yeah, right? I don't have any money. I need to pay for this somehow.
Yeah.
I'll charge you $35 for this vape. So from this email, all I could find was that the corrective action taken for a Rite of Passage for all of these claims was the staff was fired and the state contracts continued. So they got a slap on the wrist.
Wow.
Which, again, aligns with what we've been seeing in all these financial crimes.
Yeah.
So even the state...
But, like, the structure wasn't forced to change or fix. Or
They just blame it on the staff. That's why I'm saying we have to argue that, like, these laws should be changed to not allow this type of behavior to happen. Or if we're not all going to go write our statespeople and be like, what the fuck is going on back there? Because I get it. We're all living a life and everything. We can certainly talk shit about the billionaires. They'd be like, oh, look at this fucking pedophile jet.
Yeah. Gross.
I think I started to realize, like, even before all the shit that we started researching and the Epstein bullshit, because Epstein is really where it cracked my mind open. Like, I used to hate politics and everything, and then I was like, whoa. But then you're putting true crime into it that isn't just financial crime. You put all this other shit in, and I get interested. And that's why I even share these cases, right? Like, because our few little people who listen, I hope it sparks a fire in your heart, too. And you go tell someone and you say, can you believe that bullshit? And then maybe somebody will have a great idea and be able to change it. Like, you never know. It won't be me.
No,
But maybe somebody else can.
We can point at it and be like, hey,
the water's on.
what the fuck?
We're going to drown.
We should turn it off.
I know how to swim for a little bit. But if we want to turn it off now, we can. We can.
Can anyone reach?
As soon as it goes underwater, though, we're all fucked. And then we got to find a new country. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Anyway, so on that
Exciting
lovely
stuff.
note.
That's pretty good. That's a good one.
Thanks, guys. That's all I got on Rite of Passage. But thanks, TikToker, for writing in on Uta Haylee.
Yeah.
And if you go to any of those reform schools or whatever, or if you have been, please write me. I want to know everything. Our email is isgdpodcast@gmail.com. I will go on more deep dives on other facilities if we want, but it turns out that basically any of them that you look at that people are claiming abuses at, they have a similar financial structure behind the scenes. And there's always shell companies involved, which you should question immediately.
One guy at the top.
Yeah, one really rich guy. Super weird.
Interesting.
Anyway, if you want to follow us on social media, we're on Instagram, Facebook, X, and TikTok. Our handle is @ISGD Podcast. And if you want to snail mail us, you can do that at
P.O. Box 2764, Spring Valley, California, 9197.
9. Bye, guys.
Bye.